If you're on the Garrett Ace Apex and you're suffering or struggling with false signals and a lot of chatter, stay tuned to this video. I have a few settings that may help you out to even totally eliminate the chatter or even quieten it down a lot. So stay tuned to this video and I hope it can help you guys out. Right, and what I'm going to show you is how I actually set the shoe up onto the Garrett Ace Apex and how tight that I actually have the cable that runs around the stem itself and which way I have it. Now, I always like to have it a little bit tighter because when I used to have it slightly slack, the wire, I always used to get a hell of a lot of false signals. So this is how I used to, this is basically how I set up the shoe on the end of the Garrett Ace Apex. Now I've got a bit of tape on each end because it's holding the snake skin that I bought, and the snake skin didn't fit properly, so I just put a bit of tape around each end. Nothing really fancy, just like the snake skin. Right, now when it comes to setting up the shoe on the Apex, as you guys know, it's just a simple job of screwing in the screwing on the bit to hold the shoe in. Now I've always done it this way. Some people like to do the other way. Easiest way is to do it this way because you try and jam the longer end of the pin through. That way you get it keep wedging on the wire. So always do it that way. Right, tighten that up. Right, we're going to tighten that up and I will come back to you in a minute. Now we have the shoe on. I haven't over tightened it because we've still got to be able to move the shoe about when we come up to doing the wire. Now when you first start the wire, now some people go underneath and around. With most Garretts, if you look them up, they will always go over the front of the stem first and then wrap themselves all the way around to the actual end of the stem, which I will wrap up now and show you before we end up plugging it in. But that's how I set up the shoe on the Garrett Ace Apex, and always run the cable round over the front of the actual stem. Right, let's wrap that wire up and I'll show you what it's like before we plug it in. Right, as you can see, the wire's still slightly slack at the moment, but you can see as I've gone over and we've gone round, and I always leave it a bit slack because you've got to remember you're going to be moving this shoe about when you're setting it up. So always, as I say, and the time it goes round back to there and you plug it in. So we'll just plug it in now to make sure we're plugging it in the right way, like so. It's not good trying to do it with one hand. But yeah, right, we'll plug that in a second. But as you can see, this is how tight that I actually have the cable itself. I don't really like a slack cable because, as I say, it does give you a lot of false signal. So we'll get it tightened right up, we'll get it plugged in, and I will show you what it's like in a minute. Right, and there you have it. There's still a little tiny bit of slack there, but once you've lifted the shoe up and set it how you want to set it, it'll pull the wire quite tight. I prefer to have a tighter wire. I did used to have a looser one and I was just getting false signal, so that did help me with stopping the chatter quite a bit. There's a few more other settings which I'll go through with you, but that's how I always set up the shoe. As I say, with most Garretts, it always goes over the front of the stem, then round and up to the box. Right, on to the next part. Right, now we've all set up with the shoe on, and as you can see, not the wire I always have quite tight, as you can see there. Whenever you stick a coil on, or whenever you stick a new coil on the Garrett Ace Apex, what I always do, and I always found it works well, it's a little bit dirty, needs a little bit of a clean. Turn it on. Let's just turn this volume down quickly. Right, so the volume's off. Right, whenever you put a new coil on, or you're changing your coil, or you're doing what I've just done there, what I like to do before I hit the field, hold the power button down for a couple of seconds. You hear that double beep like that. That means it's actually been reset. So now you can go and adjust your settings to what settings you want. Now, what I found with the Apex is a lot of people are saying about the chatter, and they're getting a few false signals. Some of it can be where you've not got the coil wire tight enough. Or there is another way of stopping it. What you can do is, this is the kind of settings that I like to use when I'm out on the field. Now, we start off with the sensitivity. I always have 2 from top. The volume, I always have on 8. The iron grunt, I always have the iron grunt on 0. I will explain the reason why in a minute. Multi-frequency mode, always run it multi-frequency mode. If I get a lot of chatter, I'll just drop it down to a 20, because sometimes iron ore can make it go a little bit crazy. Sometimes you can just adjust it between that and multi-frequency. I prefer to use it in multi-frequency more than I do any other mode. Now the channel, if you carry a mobile phone around with you and you've got your, say for instance, data set on and things like that, it can interfere sometimes. So always find the best channel, which I found with my Samsung is channel 6, and I don't get any interference at all from it. Come back out. Now, most times I run it in, say for instance, multi-frequency mode. Well, as you see there, I run it in multi-frequency mode, but I run it in relics. And then what I do with relics is, I always notch on an extra one there. So we're going to be hitting from 30, but sometimes what happens is I'm out in the field and I'm getting a lot of chatter, and I'm looking at the numbers and I'm getting a lot of 99s coming up. And now I dig the 99s and there's actually nothing there. And it's quite a false signal, and it can actually make you feel like you're either missing a signal or you're not getting it right. What I have been doing the last few trips I've been out is I found if I notch out that one, the very last one there, so you've notched out the 99 tone. When I'm out, now that stops the chatter quite a bit, because it seems to be the very end one that seems to give you a lot of the chatter. So I tried notching that one out, and it seemed to have worked for me quite well. Now, as you know, you can run it in different modes. Custom mode, you can set that one up yourself. Sometimes I run it in 0 mode, but I do, when I run it in 0 mode, I always discriminate up to 30, as I always do. Now, when I put it in 0 mode and I discriminate like that, it doesn't chatter as much without notching out the 99. If it does, try just switching that off. Now, you're not going to lose any depth or any signal or anything like that. I mean, I've tried putting little hammered coins under. They will reach up in the 70s there. I've put bigger coins underneath and I've gone quite deep and it's reading up in the 68s. Usually when anything's in the 99 mark and it's really deep, it's always going to be that kind of iron. So that's how I stop the chatter on my Apex. Every now and then I might ground balance it, which is sort of every half an hour. I will go along, sort of hold your button down as you do, and then basically, I won't do it in here, but you just pump the machine on the floor for a few times. Now, if you're not happy with the first time you do it a few times. And hopefully that might stop the chatter a little bit. I always ground balance it every half an hour. Just makes me feel more comfortable. But as I say, always keep that wire nice and tight up into the box. Settings how you want it. But if you get a lot of chatter, as I say, just notch off. Still getting, if you don't want to notch that off, take the sensitivity down by an extra one. Change the channel, because sometimes the channel can help. Like for instance, channel 7, channel 8, and see if that works for you. Now, if you're under pylons, if you've got a lot of pylons around the place, I would suggest that you used wired headphones. I found wired headphones for the Apex working anywhere near any electrical pylons worked absolutely better, or any masks. I wasn't getting any interference at all. But if I had the wired headphones on, I was getting slight interference, and every now and then it sort of did cut out. Otherwise, that's really it. That's how I managed to get rid of a lot of the chatter. Now you will still get a little bit of chatter from here and from here, and you might get a little bit of chatter from there. But as you start to know the tones, it'll just come to you really easy. But don't be afraid to knock out the 99 tone. Do a little test in your garden. Let me know what you think. But that's how I set it up. But just remember, with the Garretts, the wire always comes over the front of the coil, wraps around, and then back up to there. Now I'm hoping that might help a few of you out. There's a lot of settings on the Garrett Ace Apex. I mean, you can have your light on full time if you want, or you can just have it when you're just going through the menu. The reason why I don't have the iron grunt on too much, now I found when I was metal detecting the other week, I was getting quite a grunty signal. So what I did was I dug the grunty signal out, and there was a tiny little bit of iron there, but there was also a quarter hammered coin. It was only a tiny little bit, but the iron grunt was actually overpowering the actual tiny quarter hammered coin that I'd actually found. So that is the reason why I turned the iron audio off. What I will do is, if I find a deep signal and it's big, I will just turn on the iron audio button. I'll run over the signal. It'll grunt like anything. Turn it off. Even though that you've set it down to 0 on the iron volume, you can set it down to 0. When you turn on the iron audio, it will still ring up quite high. So every now and then I might turn it on to go over a signal. If it's really, really crackly, then you know it's definitely iron. So I'm hoping that might help a few of you out. If there's anything else you might want to know, what kind of other problems that you might have, if you just give us an email, I'll leave my email in the description below, and I will try and help you guys out as much as I can. But as I say, that's what stopped my chatter for the Garrett Ace Apex, and hopefully it might you. Right, until my next adventure, diggers den.